The case of colonized people rising against their oppressor. This is the subject of the message I bring to you this day, Saturday, May the 17th, in the year of our Lord 2025. I am Chris Anu, your comrade in arms for a free and independent Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Again, the subject of the message I bring to you today is when a colonized people rise against their oppressor, fellow Ambazonians. For far too long, the people of the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have been silenced under the suffocating weight of corruption, of brutality, and official extortion. The regime in Yaoundé perfected the act of misinformation, staging parades of deception, propping up charades disguised as grassroots rejection of the Ambazonian liberation movement. We have seen this farce play out in places like Bali, Pinyin, and other communities in Ambazonia where regime lackeys orchestrated token protests against the restoration fighters of Ambazonia, parading them before the cameras to fool the international community into thinking the revolution is lost, that the people are no longer with the struggle. But those days appear to be over. What happened in Moyoka early yesterday, that is, Friday, ladies and gentlemen, Friday the 16th of May, wasn't choreographed by the regime. It wasn't a media stunt. It wasn't a protest against Ambazonia restoration fighters. No, it was an organic grassroots uprising of a bitter, battered, and bruised people, an unarmed, peaceful population waving palm fronts and marching, not against their own liberation, but against the colonial oppressor. The protest was loud, it was clear, and it was focused. The Cameroon army must leave, they demanded. The streets of Moyoka bore witness to a historic moment, a moment that laid bare the true face of Cameroon's colonial rule in the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Hundreds of civilians, mostly farmers, they rallied in peaceful defiance. Their placards were not condemning Amba fighters. Their chants weren't against those who defend them. Instead, they carried their pain and trauma to the doorsteps of the colonial divisional officer, the so-called DO, demanding an end to the harassment, the rape, the extortion, and torture they've endured under the boots of the invading Cameroon army. These are not isolated complaints, ladies and gentlemen. These are the cries of a people pushed to the brink. A resident recounted the daily humiliation they faced to me, and he said, when going to harvest food in the morning, you pay 1,000 francs. When coming back, another 1,000 francs. If you bring red palm oil, you pay 3,000 francs. A bunch of plantains, he said, you pay based on the quantity. This is not law enforcement. This is highway robbery, official authorized highway robbery, institutionalized and sanctioned by the colonial regime in La République du Cameroon. And when the people can't pay, what happened? They are arrested. Women are raped. Men are beaten. Women are forced shaved by the military, and a dehumanizing act of psychological warfare. These colonial soldiers, who claim to protect the people from rogue Amba fighters, have become predators themselves. They don't protect the farmers, they feed on them. So the question must be asked and must be answered by those still sitting on the fence in this Ambazonia struggle. If the Cameroon army is here to protect, why do the people want them gone? For years, the Paul Biya's regime has fed foreign diplomats and international media a cocktail of lies. That the fighters are the problem, that the people want peace, and that only Cameroon's army can deliver it. But the events in Moyoka strike a devastating blow to that false narrative. These farmers, these ordinary men and women, are not calling for the departure of Ambazonia fighters from the territory. They are calling for the withdrawal of the colonial Cameroon military. It is a damning contradiction to the regime that the regime can no longer hide. For all the so-called atrocities blamed on Amba boys, the people have never risen in such coordinated fury against them. But against the Cameroon army, today they did. And tomorrow, more communities will do just the same. Moyoka has exposed the reality the regime fears most, that the people are not fooled. Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, Anglophones, as I like to call it, they are not fooled. That their allegiance lies with the dream of a free and independent Ambazonia, not the boot-licking pretenders in La République du Cameroon's Yaoundé. The palm fronds they carried were not just symbols of peace, they were symbols of clarity, of courage, and of resistance. Moyoka has thrown down the gauntlet. The time for silence is over, they say. Other towns in the southern Cameroons, towns and villages experiencing the same abuse, like Kona, Mamfe, Bafut, Wum, Ndobatibo, Ndu, Wum, and so on, must now find their own voice. If you are extorted at military checkpoints, if your women are molested, your men tortured, your harvest looted, why are you still silent? Why are you still silent? The struggle for Ambazonia will not be won in whispers. It will be won when every community says enough is enough, just like Moyoka did today. The colonial divisional officers, the military captains, the regime spies, they all thrive on fear and apathy, but they crumble in the face of unified resistance. Do not let Moyoka stand alone. Let this fire spread. Let the voice of the people become a roaring storm that drowns out every lie Cameroon tells the world. Let every community become a front of resistance. And to our brave restoration fighters on the ground, the time has come to recalibrate. The people have spoken. They say they are suffering. They are desperate. And they are looking to you, not just to defend, but to act decisively. The Cameroon army is not invincible. Its strength lies only in its unchecked brutality. But when communities and fighters align, it has no place to hide. You must now coordinate your tactics, increase intelligence, and surgically dismantle the military presence in these harassed communities and in Ambazonia at large. Malende, Ekona, Mbalange, Munyenge, you can name the rest. Every area where the regime preys on farmers must be liberated zone by zone. You must hit where it hurts them. disrupt their checkpoints, burn them down, and I repeat, burned them down. They are operating in illegitimate territory. Protect the women and make it known that Ambazonia is not a hunting ground for colonial thugs. There can be no complacency, ladies and gentlemen. No fighter should rest while a farmer pays a bribe to access their own farmland. If we are to restore dignity to our people, then every military checkpoint in Ambazonia, every gendarme or police checkpoint must become a target of conscience. To the diplomats in La République du Cameroun, the journalists and policy analysts watching or listening to the sound of my voice, please wake up. What happened in Moyoka is not an aberration. It is a truth Cameroon has tried desperately to conceal. For years, you have been spoon-fed images of supposed anti-Ambazonia protests. But here, for the first time in years, the people spoke freely, and they pointed their fingers, not at the restoration forces or fighters of Ambazonia, but at their colonizers. These protests should ring alarm bells in every embassy and foreign affairs office in La République du Cameroun, for it confirms what human rights reports have consistently stated. That is, that the Cameroon military is committing widespread abuses against the civilian population in the southern Cameroons. That the state you are supporting under the guise of territorial integrity is systematically dehumanizing a people fighting for their right to self-determination. Enough with the neutrality, sirs. Silence in the face of such crimes is complicity. The people of Ambazonia are bleeding, and you are watching with folded arms. Today, Moyoka made history, but the revolution cannot rest on the shoulders of one brave community. This must become a movement, a wave of non-violent defiance followed by strategic defense. Cameroon's military cannot police an entire people that is determined to be free. Their forces are overstretched, underpaid, and increasingly demoralized. It is time we make their occupation untenable. To the people of Ambazonia in the territory, rise up like Moyoka, reclaim your dignity, expose the oppressor, and to our restoration fighters, organize, strategize, and neutralize the enemy where they prey on our people. Let the world know we are not turning against our liberators. We are rising against our jailers. And until Ambazonia is free, we will not be silent. Not today, not ever. Again, this came to you from your comrade in arms, Chris Anwan. Please pass this message into every other gadget that you can. Thanks for listening today.